Ahoy pirates! Welcome back to my channel. Civil War has just started, so let me give you the bonus code straight away. There is a war to win, and we have to choose whether to side with the pirates or the Vikings. This is the same event as last year, and I'll also leave the video from last year in the cards. The event completion is well balanced and fairly easy. Not everything can be done straight away, especially the quests, but the event is quite long. Completing it also counts towards the event streak, even though there is no particular reward for doing so. There is no season this month, as I mentioned, so let's move on to the market. Don't skip this part, because this time the market has some really interesting things to offer. There is a special gem that was introduced last year, and it is only available for purchase. The price is outrageous, but it is absolutely worth getting. I realize that for smaller players it isn't easy to save up all those pearls, actually, even more so because I have some discounts active. But this is the perfect special gem. It gives 5% prevention damage, 50% bonus battle points and 5% damage versus players. It is perfect for both PvE and PvP. There is simply nothing better available at the moment. There are also gems for Ragnarok, which can be useful for anyone who doesn't want to spend money on the new gem bags. Then we have ammunition and extensions, but I'll talk about those at the end of the video, in the section dedicated to smaller players. Although the ammunition part may actually be useful for everyone. But now, let's jump into the event and, most importantly, choose our faction. When we go to the first quest giver, we will be asked to meet the faction quest givers. If we meet Olafsson first, we will be fighting the white ships. If we meet Jack Hawk instead, we will be fighting the red ships. I chose to fight the white ship simply because the quest suggests talking to Jack Hawk, and I think many players will naturally do that. By choosing Olafsson, I'm hoping there will be fewer players around the event admirals from my faction. Of course, it makes no difference, so you can choose whichever side you want. The NPCs are mirrored. There are 2 basic ships and 1 submarine sailing around Nautica, plus 1 admiral and 1 super admiral for each faction. Then we have the Eden, which are neutral ships, and finally a neutral super admiral that spawns after a certain amount of time. While we complete the first quest, let me explain how the system works. Depending on the faction we choose, we have to use a specific type of ammunition. In my case, I will be shooting the white ships with rift ammunition. If you choose the red ships, you will have to use Marauder ammunition. The white ships give you Plato coins, while the red ships give you Solon coins. However, as you progress by shooting the white ships, the red ships will stop giving you rewards. So, if you want to obtain the currency belonging to the opposite faction, you have to use the exchange available in the market, or shoot the Eden, which can randomly give you either type of currency. By completing quests and sinking NPCs, we will also earn reputation. The more reputation we accumulate, the better the loot we will receive from the event. The quests are quite varied and can ask you to board NPCs. You can see their boarding values on screen. For a fully equipped ship, there is no problem boarding the basic NPCs with gold equipment. The admirals are more difficult to board and, personally, I don't think it's worth the effort. But for the sake of completion, I'll show you the dedicated boarding setup at the end of the video. Before that though, let's dive into Atlantis, because the little monkey Bubs gives us a quest from time to time, and this time she sends us to Atlantis to collect wrecks. Let me say straight away that Atlantis is not worth farming resources in this event. The submarines you can see here can also spawn on the surface. Down here, the sheer number of these NPCs can be annoying because they can use torpedoes and rift advantage to slow you down. And here we are back in the safe haven, ready to take a look at the group map available during this first phase of the event. The ancient emblem required to enter can easily be obtained from the event NPCs. By speaking to the quest giver, we enter a map where 2 teams of 3 players fight against each other. You probably noticed that this is an old clip, because it is exactly the same map as last year. Winning the map is not required for the event completion, so I have no reason to play it seriously. But let me explain how it works. Each team has to try to control the volcano of its own color so that it starts spawning rocks. The rocks disappear if the volcano changes color, which happens when a player from the opposing team shoots the volcano. When you destroy the rocks, there is a chance that a golem of the same color as the rock will spawn. Sinking enemy players, rocks and golems gives points to your team, which you can see on the bar on the right. The team that completely fills the bar wins, or, if the time runs out, the team with the higher score wins. Now let's move on to some useful tips for this event. These are mainly aimed at smaller players, but they can be useful for everyone. If, like me, you chose the red faction, meaning that you are actually shooting the white ships, you will be using rift ammunition. In the event market, rift ammunition is sold for 12,500 pearls for 10,000 shots. Don't be fooled by that price. Rift ammunition can be bought outside the event using rift coins, or, even better, exchanged for voodoo ammunition at a 1-to-1 ratio. If we look at voodoo ammunition, it costs 12,000 pearls for 10,000 shots. So, right from the start, that's a saving of 500 pearls for every 10,000 shots. That might seem like nothing, but after firing several million shots throughout the event, you will definitely notice the difference. And actually, if you have the slashing blades buff, the exchange rate is no longer 1-to-1. You only need 900 voodoo shots to get 1,000 rift ammunition. So we get an additional discount, which of course can be combined with premium and any active market discount. In other words, don't buy rift ammunition from the event tab. Buy voodoo ammunition and convert it into rift ammunition instead. Something you should absolutely buy from the market is the rowboats. They are extremely useful for boarding during this event. 2 or 3 rowboats are enough, but if you have the opportunity, feel free to buy all of them. Let's take a look at the boarding setup. The NPCs don't deal particularly high damage, so replacing some of your extensions with rowboats isn't a problem. Stronger players can use lanterns, while those who want to play it more safely can use ablative coatings together with 2 or 3 rowboats. Obviously, the purpose of this extension setup is to reach the required boarding value while using equipment that can be purchased entirely with gold. I never consider using pirates or equipment that costs pearls. If you're in a guild, ask your guildmates for a few billion gold, or simply head to map 13 and kill some Midnight Terror NPCs, which give a lot of gold. Buy your pirates and equipment and try to get above 30,000 boarding value. You can also create a dedicated boarding setup with more rowboats, and perhaps use the design with the boarding gem if you want to board the event admirals. Personally, I don't think it's particularly useful. With 12 rowboats, a design with a boarding gem, and a setup entirely focused on boarding, you can reach and even exceed the 125,000 boarding value required to board the Super Admiral. If you don't have gems or trophies, simply add more rowboats. And that's everything for the first phase of the event. See you soon.